So I'll say that again. So ujjayi breath, your hyoid lifts, the soft palate lifts. There's very strong breath happening. But the only way for it to happen is for it to be very soft. Because if it's not relaxed, it won't engage. It will just tense up. Also, like your belly, when you're doing breath work or ab work. So if somebody's holding at all tension in their belly, and then you try to get a breathe, it doesn't really move. And with ab work, you will be doing ab work incorrectly because you'll be pushing that. We just use that pushing out as like the extreme version because a lot of us will do that. And then you'll see, I'll say particularly men that are super fit and they have all these abs, but they're actually like out here, right? Where women, we tend to like pull it in and then we can't like breathe because we're so used to like sucking it in, right? And they're like, what do you mean? I can totally breathe. And you're like, no, I actually been holding your breath for the last 30 years, right? Trying to like hold this. And then you realize that they can't like breathe when really we want like this to be soft. And I always just say, look, I can like suck all this in and then I have some like adipose tissue on the outside, whatever, but I can actually like pull in. So I know that my internal organs are actually soft. And that's also your heart. In order for it to be really strong, it has to be very soft, gooey, squishy. It's all related. So when I lay down, a lot of people, what I do in order to get them to understand diaphragmic breath work or dirga breath work is have them lay down here, because when I'm rocking back and forth here, and especially with my feet apart and my knees together, I have more room here in my pelvic bowl. There's more room, right? So then I can get people to breathe down here and pull this in, like out and in, right? So they can roll the wave. Most of us don't really know how to do that. Even like the 3-part works like 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, but you understand that it's still a wave like this.
Oh my God.
My cool breath?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can, but most people cannot. And I want you to see how it still waves like, and this is where it can get confusing for the mind, because when I'm inhaling and then it waves, like I inhaled into my lower abs, but now the air is actually up here, right? Like the balloon. And then it rolls down. So all the breath is still in me, but it's just that it's up in the top of my chest cavity or the top of the lungs, right? And then it's all out. I'm really skinny. They're like mega pregnant. So that same amount of air is in there. It's just up here. Make sense? I tell people to breathe like in their balls. Breathe into their like down, all the way down here. You know? And then that is like later on for like other postures, we actually take the heel and you put it in like in that pubic area, like closing it and holding it. And it's not very comfortable, but this is like when you first learn. But that is then you can actually use your body as a part of the lock. So like that's like even in tree pose, like when you're in Vrikshasana, this is actually like comes all the way up there. Oh, it's where like you want to be lifting it up here. Just saying. More advanced stuff. Ujjayi. What's important is how to spell this one. JJ, it's JJ. Jai. Gopala Jaya Jaya. Ujjayi. It's ujjayi. Ujjayi. J-A-Y-I-I. J-A-Y-I. J-A-Y-I. U-J-J-A-Y-I. Ujjayi. Ujjayi. Remember that Sanskrit is like we say it like we're in the bedroom, whether you're talking to your lover or a baby, you're like ujjayi. It's all like that. All like that. Cool. And that is the most used breath in a yoga class. Ujjayi. And what does it do to your body? It warms you up. So we're internally heating our body. It's about getting warm from the inside out. So most yoga classes are not traditionally heated because the idea is that if I just sat here and did ujjayi breath, I could get myself to sweat for sure. Right? But that's really a concentrated, and it's really concentrated, but you can do it. You can heat your body, and you want the internal heat to be what's moving your body. But we're pretty lazy, and we like the hot on the outside because then it's easier. You're more flexible. When I'm in this, when I'm in the hot sauna, I'm more flexible. Make sense? So that heat is nice because most of us are really tight or we're stressed out, and it requires a lot of dharan, concentration, and pratyahara, removal of my senses, to focus so much on heating my body from the inside out. I'll just turn the heater on. Right? So now we see like the levels and degrees of like the practice and how it like unlayers itself. So like we were talking about yesterday, like, yeah, like Western yoga or like the yoga we practice is a little more kinder. It's a little more accessible, right? So I'm not just making you do pranayama for 15 minutes to get yourself to be warm enough to do a sun salute. Because when I go to do a sun salute in 30 minutes or whatever it is, like I'm be like, oh, on that first one, right? Oh, those hammies a little cold, but once I get them going, they're fine. Yep. What else was on our thing this morning we're supposed to talk about? Pranayama. Yeah, I could look it up. I just know we're supposed to practice that. Do you guys want to practice with each other later? This is your school. Stella Luna Yoga School. Oh, there's Marla. There's Marla. Ujjayi and pratyahara. Oh, great. Oh, now we can talk about pratyahara. It's on thing. I'm so smart. Okay, so we all got ujjayi breath. And now what is pratyahara? Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll take that. It could be about purging, getting rid of the excess. Really,
I can't hear what they're saying.
I know. He was saying like What were you saying exactly? It's like getting rid of distraction,
Oh.
including like digestion and food. So
Mm.
yes, right? Like for sure. And more commonly, it's going to be like just letting go of distractions, right? It's about withdrawing my senses from what's happening. So right now we're sitting in the park. There's a mosquito flying by. There's people playing basketball and training their dogs, like all this stuff. And it's not that I'm not aware that there's people training their dogs or playing basketball, mosquito or whatever, but I'm actually like withdrawing from those pieces of my senses, or that my nose is a little bit cold because I'm underneath this tree, but there's sun over there, but whatever, right? Like I know that that's happening, but I'm not focusing on that. Right? I'm focusing on like talking to you and making sure that I'm relaying what these people are saying to Jacqueline, and like this is what I'm concentrating on. So I'm withdrawing from that around me. So yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like there's like these like, so she was saying like we were referring this as like grounding, like is this big like key word that it like pop word that everybody's talking about, like I'm getting grounded, like I'm getting grounded. I'm so grounded. Yeah, I'm so grounded. And that is grounded is being centered, right? So that like when the thing hits you in your face, you're not like ah and releasing a trauma response, right? That when you're grounded and centered, then yes, you've removed part of your senses from the distraction of the outside world, right? And the thing is that it is a practice, right? And I can practice with each one of my senses. I can practice, do that today, like listen, there was pratyahara practices. Like I'm going to practice by listening to everything. And when I listen to everything, pretty soon I notice like I can concentrate on just one sound or no sounds. Like when I let my eyes, actually, this is really cool. I learned this year. We take in everything through our eyes visually, right? But we don't, and we actually, say this right, we actually do, most of us try to remember with our logical mind, not with our visual. So if you ask somebody to like look at something and then close their eyes, they're going to try to use we all do it. We try to use our logical mind instead of our visual mind to imagine it. So we did all these like really weird practices, like look at this tree and imagine a fire truck and see a red fire truck, right? And you just like visualize the fire truck and you totally see it. And we did this for like an hour so we could remember like 16 things or something, right? And then we like looked over there at this other tree and we imagined another different kind of car. Like, I don't know, a blue W bug. And we like stared at it. And then and then we would talk about other stuff. So she was a optometrist that works with people to learn how to remember things so they can like actually pass tests and stuff like that. Like, yeah, and it's about the optic nerve. And then like we looked at everything, and pretty soon within the hour, like you could go around the majority of us and you could name everything that you saw with your imagination, creating it in front of you. I wasn't that good at it, gotta be honest. What? So it was about using your visual imagination, seeing things in different places. But this is why like people aren't good witnesses, because we try to use our logical mind to remember things that we saw instead of our optical mind, or our optics. Right. We all have right. We all have visual memory because we take in like 95% of our information through our eyes, but we don't know how to use it right. We're trained to remember things with our logical mind. To remember A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but you don't see A in your mind. So like if you started doing your alphabet and you visualize A, B, C, D, E, right? But most of us don't do that. We just go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, right? Which I guess is a pretty shitty way to try to remember things. Isn't that interesting? So Pratyahara, I know, it was like mind blowing. It was really cool. It was this really cool class thing I took. So when you ask somebody to like look around or like just look around right now, like at your stuff, you know, like, and see all these like little details. And then like look away and you decide we're actually going to focus on. That would be a pratyahara practice. So parents and moms of more than one children get really good at this naturally, because I know that my kid's there, I know what they're doing, but I don't actually have to be like looking at them or paying attention to them at all. So I can withdraw my senses from them, right? So that's like, I say all of these things are totally natural, right? But this is like, oh, moms have eyes and their parents have eyes in the back of their heads, because I literally can see what you're doing. I do not need to be looking at you, right? Because they withdraw their senses, but they can still be connected to what's happening. But I'm not actually like giving it my energy, right? Like the boys are totally hitting each other and you're just like, yeah, I know they're hitting each other. I can see it in my mind. But I'm not going to, I'm withdrawing my sense from being like, staying focused on that. And when we practice these things separately, right, we're all, there's a big dog over there. When we practice these individually, like each with each one of our senses, right, then you can remove yourself from that sense. So we all remove ourselves from pain body. And I think I used this as an example in the discussion or whatever, which was like, when you get in an accident, your body goes into shock. It removes you, right? Or like if somebody's stuck under the car, all of a sudden you can like fucking lift it up, because you are actually removed from the physical sense of like, my bicep isn't actually strong enough to do that. And you go beyond the sense and you can just do it, right? Or like, you know, I don't know, that crazy movie where the guy had to send his sauce cans off in the Grand Canyon or whatever, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Because he was like stuck.
Yeah, there's like a, you know, I'm just saying like a guy that gets stuck when he's rock climbing and he like got his arm stuck, right? And he had to saw his arm off so he could get out of there, right? Like he had to remove himself from the sense of like, oh my God, I'm cutting my own arm off right now, right? Like the mental capacity to remove himself from physical pain, right? Like we can actually do that. You don't have to live in your pain body. Most of us are trying to unconsciously get out of pain body all day long. And so we're not living in our bodies. Or they're walking on the coals. Yes. Or coals, right? You can go walk on coals, or you can go be in the Himalayas with nothing on and walk around, the sadhus that we were talking about last night, and do that. There's a removal of the senses, right? And in modern times today, most of us all day long are not really paying attention to how our body feels. And we just like eat the whatever turkey sandwich, even though your body doesn't really want that at all. But we spend so much time in unconscious pratyahara, right? That you just like, you're just going with what's happening around you. But when you start removing the things, right? And you're not watching TV and you're not paying attention to the person with the dog or whatever over there, or whatever's happening around you, then you can get really focused on what you are paying attention to. And then you can practice more Dharan. So there's some, the conscious and subconscious ways that we're withdrawing our senses all the time, right? Talk about like trauma, being trauma informed, right? Like we disassociate constantly disassociating from stuff instead of just dealing with it. Oh, I'm tired. I'll just have some coffee. I'll just disassociate from the fact that my body's fucking tired and I'll give it something else to just wake up, which sounds fantastic right now. Right? Instead of like being like, wow, I'm actually really tired. And I know that I have like all these things to do, but instead I'm not going to do them and I'm going to listen to my body and go rest. Right. So like last night we we're talking about like reprogramming our subconscious mind. Like this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And when you practice these pratyahara practices consciously, just like I was saying, like we isolate our body or we deconstruct it, then I'll become more present and it will be uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable because you're not used to it. And then you'll get used to it and you'll be more comfortable. Yes. There is a wonderful bathroom, this building right here. It's very nice public bathroom. Maybe one of the nicest public bathrooms we have around here. Yeah, please use the restroom. Cool. So we're having a better sense of pratyahara. So yeah, that's why people are like, I'm getting grounded. I'm gonna get grounded. Yeah. Right. Or like the whole, like, I don't know. I went to therapy a couple years ago because my kids were going to therapy. So I was like, well, I should go too. Well, no, seriously, because I wanted them to go and I want to be a good example, right? I still couldn't get one to go. But anyway, like she would have me do things like rub my fingers to get into my body. I was like, oh, these are cool, like little tricks they have, which is like, oh, well, I sit here and I breathe and I do this anyway. Right. But from a like psychology clinical standpoint was really cool. I know that poor woman trying to give me therapy. Bless her heart. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Absolutely. So she said like is like the concept of it, like the grounding work and using like when we do the physical touch, right? Like this brings me into my body. Right now I've got this sense and I'm like, oh, this does actually relax your body. It brings you into that center where you're at. Dog's getting in trouble. Pratyahara. Pratyahara. Oh. Wait for it. I just saw what I was gonna say, but I lost it. Anyway. Cool. So we can see how, just going back to like the 8 limbs and the stages of yoga, like understanding like if we have the yamas and the niyamas and our asanas, and then we practice pranayama, then leads us in pratyahara, which leads us into dharana. Right? Because once I can start removing myself from all the distractions, then I can actually focus. Then I can actually meditate. Right? Yeah. Then I can meditate. And then I get into a state of samadhi, where we say to up level ourselves. It's really like where there is no separation, because I'm so relaxed, concentrated, having a focus on just one thing, that then I can like allow each moment to complete itself. And I find myself in a state of bliss that is connected to being in the present moment. So for me recently, I changed the language. Like, yeah, there's one thing in like being in the present moment. I'm like, okay, I'm here, but allowing this moment to complete itself and then moving on. And that's really helped me like reframe it, because I'm like, well, I'm here right now. I'm present. I'm talking to you. I'm looking at all these people. I'm just focused on you guys. Like, I'm highly concentrated. I'm clearly in this moment right now in my body. I feel my knee, my hip, my thing, my belly. Yeah, I'm here. Then I was like, oh, when I let every moment actually finish itself, and then I move on to the next one, it's really giving me a whole new thing to be like, oh, because most of us don't complete the moment completely before we've sort of moved on to the next one. Ooh, he just dropped a bomb. He said, so we're trying to own the moment instead of like allowing the moment. That's good. Did I bring a pen? Wait, what was the question? Oh, how do you know if a moment is done? It's a yes or a no. Like, is this moment over? Nope.
So you know what's done because you see it. So like a perfect example, so I had this, I remember this was
Here. Oh wait, no, you can't hear. She's in my ear. Dang it.
It was a big one. We were this time person, and she was yelling and all this stuff. She was just screaming, and I remember thinking, okay, practice this. Pulled myself out, watched it play out, and instead of me reacting emotionally and just getting that scenario, I pulled myself out. I watched it. I was super clear about what was going on, and then I responded in a way that I would normally not respond. The way I think now we know this is the right thing. And she like she expected me to come back, and so that moment was out, and I saw it.
Lily's talking about like reacting versus responding, and like allowing the moment to finish. And so like if you like take yourself back and are like can like watch the moment happen, be the witness of it, right? And you're like the witness of the moment. So like say there's something going on, you're having a conversation and one person's like blah 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 blah, like you just like stop, watch the moment happen, let the moment finish, and then respond to it. And that's allowing the moment to finish. Or how do we know? Because Marlena is asking like, how do you know if the moment's over?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a natural.
Yes. That-
Cool. All right. Pratyahara. Withdraw those senses. Withdraw those senses. Uh-huh. And yeah, isn't it cool that like this is a whole practice? You know, we can see how, yeah, we just have to practice this all the time. Okay. Well, we can talk everyone now before yoga. People will start coming now. Yeah. We still have yoga in the park right now. So people will start rolling in. I need like a microphone for you, Jacqueline. So it's like a big microphone. I'm
Nice.
sure there's something like that. I feel certain there's got to be something like that in this Jetson's age. Well, and the headset, but so she could hear you guys, because I put her in my ear when I'm teaching, like fine, but like you guys can't hear her and she can't hear you. So I'm like interpreting. I'm like, and then they said, if anybody wants to talk to Jacqueline, you can come put an earphone in. But yeah, like Jason's here rolling up, and then so this is intermission. And we'll have some yoga class, and we can stay on. If you want to log off, Jacqueline, you could do that too. It's fine. Ooh. Just gonna take a quick nap. Then we're gonna do yoga. Then we're gonna talk about Ayurveda. And then we're gonna talk about smelly things. And then we're gonna talk about Iyengar more, seated poses, twisting. Oh yeah.